Hello, so today we will analyze round one of Metro Summer Chess Bonanza. This is the second tournament they made, and the reason why I haven't uploaded round five and six of the last one was because I can't read it. So e4, played by my opponent, and c5. The Sicilian defense. My opponent goes for knight to f3, and here we get knight to c6. And here we get c3. This is known as the Alpine Sicilian, and against the Alpine, I play knight to f6, just like in my previous games. We get e5, knight to d5, d4, c takes, and d6. And this is the position we get. So I'm trying to break the center here with my pawns, and with the d pawn here, I'm going to try to take here. Also try to get them to take my way so that I can develop the queen. And here they play bishop to b5. And if you remember, from I think it was like round three of the last one, Metro Summer Chess Bonanza, the first tournament they made. My opponent in round three played this move, bishop to b5. And what happened was I played queen to a5 check again. They played knight to c3 to defend it, but here I just go knight takes c3, and they go for uh, bishop takes c6. We get b takes c6, and now we get queen to c2. I was hoping they would play queen to d2. Bishop to d2 fails to just knight takes d1. If you take, I can simply just take the pawn, and I'm up a piece and a pawn. So you're losing in this one. Queen to d2 is the only move. But they played queen to c2, which is a mistake. Because, yeah, the idea is, okay, if the knight moves, then I take the pawn. But what he had forgotten was that after just knight to d5 check, it opens up the queen. And now there's a check to the king. So they play bishop to d2. I go queen to b5, making sure the king doesn't castle here. And here, they go e takes d6. I was expecting like a4 here, and then I just go queen to a6. I was trying to provoke this to try and create a weakness. They just play e takes d6, and here I just decide to go for knight to b4, trying to get them to take here. If they don't take, let's say they go like queen to e4, then I just give a check, and I'm winning. After like king to f1, there's knight to c5, there's knight to f4. There's a lot of moves that win. Just taking the pawn is one of them, or knight to c5 immediately, forcing queen to e2. After that, knight to e4, but just takes is the easiest way. So they took the bishop, the knight, but now I just take the bishop with check here. I was expecting knight to d2 here, and my idea is to take the pawn with the queen so that I don't open up the e file. That's why I played this move. This move, knight to b4, and also to trade more pieces. And here they just go queen to c3, which in my opinion is a mistake here, because you don't really want to trade queens if you're down a piece. If you're just down material, you don't really want to trade queens or anything in a losing position. But they go queen to c3, so I just trade without hesitation and then just take the pawn. And now I'm just up a piece, a full piece. And there's no compensation here because where's the extra pawn? We have the same amount of pawns. We have the same pawn structure. Only difference is I haven't played d5. And I have two bishops against one knight. So I'm winning. They go castles. I go bishop to e7 to block a check off from the e-file. They go rook a b1 here. Idea being to infiltrate here. If I ever move my bishop to, let's say, e6 here, then they might be able to infiltrate over in the future. So after that, I play bishop to a6, taking this nice diagonal over here, and still controlling b7. They go rook fe1, pinning my bishop, and here I just play king d7, develop the king. And here, my plans either involve putting a rook on e8 or putting a rook on b8 to challenge one of their two rooks here and take the open file. Because usually when you're in a losing position, you don't want to trade. But if they don't trade, then I get two open files for my rooks. They go rook b4, trying to gain full control of this b file. So I go rook hb8 immediately here to try to take the rook. If they take, they're losing. If they go rook EB1, which is what was played in the game, I just go king C7 here, defend the rook. And here they just go knight D2. Knight D2, and for my ideas here, after knight D2, I just play D5. That's one of my ideas here. Play D5, fix the weak C3 pawn, put a bishop on D6, uh, and also just put a tempo on the rook here. If they take, that's good for me, which is exactly what happens in the game. And if they play f4, which is a weird move, you should like, I don't know, maybe a rook e1, but they made it easier for me, so I just traded here. And using my two bishops, I'm now going to win that pawn here with bishop to c4. And whatever you do, you're going to lose a pawn. If you go a4, then after bishop to b3, uh, pawn goes to a5. Simply king to b7 here, and nothing can stop the king from going here or the bishop going to d8, and you're winning the pawn. So my opponent plays a3 here. Understandable, because if you overextend it, then you cannot defend it. So you go here, but I just simply go bishop to d3, attacking the knight, and they have to move it away, and I just take the pawn, and now I have an outside passer, so I'm completely winning here. I have an outside passer. Not only that, I have two bishops here who are going to win every single pawn. They go king to f2, bishop to b2, hitting the pawn here on c3, and here they go king to e3. So they're attacking my bishop. So I just play bishop to g6. And then keep in mind, this is a standard game. This is a standard tournament. So we get c4 here, trying to escaping the bishop side, and also trying to go here, takes maybe. But here, I just play bishop to c1. And because you put the king here, your knight's under a pin. And nothing can stop a trade from happening. And then I'm pushing this pawn, or using it as a distraction to then put my king and bishop here on the king side. They take, I take, and here they go g4. After g4, I take, they take back, and just play bishop to e4. Because if I let's say played a5, I mean, this is still winning f5, but it's a lot harder. I mean, yes, you can take this, but I don't really want to do this, so why not just play bishop to e4 and just keep an extra piece and defend this pawn. They go h4 here, and here I decided, okay, what do we play on the king side? Okay, so my opponent's probably going to go for that pawn, but in the meantime, I'll play f6, h6, and then g5. That's my plan here, to try and challenge this structure. And if at any point they push their pawns here, like let's say, let's just play some random waiting moves, here, here, here. Let's say they go for this structure here. If they try to go for this, they're just completely losing after bishop to f3. You can't stop me taking this pawn, and then this pawn, and then this pawn. So yeah, you're losing. So I go king to d6 here, bringing my king closer towards this side of the board. Oops. They play king to c3 here, so they have to keep their king on this side of the board, otherwise I'll just queen. So I'm using this pawn as a distraction to win every single pawn on the king side. I just go h6 here, they go king to b4, f6, executing the plan of now preparing g5 here, also preventing this move, preventing them from playing g5 themselves, because then that just weakens a pawn, and then allows my king to go to f5. So yeah, they go king to b5, and I just go g5 immediately. And they take with the f pawn. One of the tricks here of my opponent is that if I take h takes, I mean, yes, this is still winning, but h5, this is looking a little scary. So you don't want to go into this. You don't want to give your opponent any counterplay. So I just take with the f pawn. They take here, and nothing can stop bishop to f3 from coming. And then I'm just winning this pawn. They go king to a6, bishop to f3. They take the pawn on a7, and after bishop takes g4, king to b6, bishop to f3, king to a7. Oh wait, they didn't play king to a7. They just resigned after bishop to f3. Because there's nothing you can do to stop me from pushing this pawn. And yeah, so that was just a game where I was winning in the opening, and then my opponent made a lot of mistakes, especially trading while they were losing. Uh, I was uh, I was pretty excited to see this when I saw this move played on the board. Uh, I was excited because I thought my opponent might play into that interesting variation with queen to a5, knight to c3, knight takes c3, bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and instead of queen to c2, queen to d2 over here. And after I play bishop to a6, then they take with the c pawn or the queen here, and this is very nice for me. I have the bishop pair at, let's say, d takes and knight takes e6 apparently is the best move. But the idea here is that I have the bishop pair, my opponent can't castle, and I'm going to and I have a lot of advantages here. First of all, my opponent can't castle anywhere. Second, I have the bishop pair, meaning that if I go into an endgame, I will be better because I can use the two bishops to play on both sides of the board here, and then use the pawns and then the rooks to pressure everything, while they have a knight and a bishop. So I'm better in both scenarios here, which is why bishop to b5 isn't really a good move. And also, if you thought you blundered, it's kind of hard to find queen to d2 here, just pinning the knight to the queen. So overall, queen to c2 is a big mistake here. It was kind of just another smooth game, nothing too much, but there are some very interesting games to come. So that's the end of the video, and bye.